Hi, Julie Powell here. Today we're going to have a look at removing some distractions in Luminar Neo. Now, sure, we can head over to the Erase tool and you can use that to remove power lines, dust spots, small things that you want to get rid of within your image. For instance, this little stick here, I can just rub over that and just click Erase. And it's gone. It's left a little bit of a halo and a mark around it, but you can keep playing with that and you can sort of get rid of it. But what happens when you've got a larger area here and it gets a little bit messy with the Erase tool? And I'll show you what I mean. So it has gotten a little bit messy. You could probably live with it, but without taking it into Photoshop, it's not going to look brilliant. So I'm just going to undo that. And what I'm actually going to do, and this is really easy in this image because I have so much of the background to work with. So I'm just going to go to my layers panel here and I'm going to duplicate my layer. Just give it a second because it does take a minute. Okay, so it's made a duplicate copy of my image. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reduce the opacity of that top layer and I'm going to move it down so that it's covering that area that I want. So now what I'm going to do is go into the masking properties, and with the brush I am going to erase most of that top image, especially along the edges. And that will hopefully cover some of that off. Okay, I'm going to paint that back in. And it didn't line up quite as well as I had hoped it would, so I'm just going to move it back in there a little bit, go back into the masking. And there we have it. So probably just a little bit more in there. Okay, so that's popped more of that image back into that background, so it does hide it a little bit better. I can move that around a bit so it lines up a little bit. So that's a quick and easy way to do it rather than using the erase tool, which isn't always fantastic. If you've got a really super busy background with lots of things happening, not necessarily as good. So for the next image, I want to darken up the background. I don't want to remove it as such. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of the masking tools. So in particular, I'm going to go into the develop section and I'm going to go into masking. I'm going to pick up my brush and I'm going to paint in the area that I want it to cover. So you might want to zoom in for this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint over the area. You might want just take a little bit of care. I'm going to try and do it a bit quicker. And then you can drop your exposure down in those areas. You may need to have a few goes at this. You can come in and you can erase if you don't want it on certain areas. You can make your brush, of course, a little bit smaller, and you can make your softness or your edge a little bit stronger. So if you want to go into certain areas without a soft edge, you can do that. Especially along the whoops. And of course, just go back and erase any areas that you need to. Okay, so I've pretty much gone in and covered all that area off. There's a few spots I just need to fix up. But in general, I'm pretty happy with that, so I can go over to the adjustments and I can play with various things to try and bring that down. Now you can add multiple masks, of course, but this one worked fairly well. So I don't have to have it quite so dark if I don't want to. I could have it just so that it's far less distracting in the background. It's up to you how finicky you want to get. You can just mask off the areas. You don't have to use the entire background removal tool and remove the areas completely.